What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Apothecary Diaries, Season 2, Episode 13 and 14. With this, I will be properly caught up with the anime, and will be moving on to, after this video, single episode reactions when they come out. So with that in mind, I'm eager to get into this. I'm pretty sure we should be having a new opening here even just on this first of the two episodes, and I'm excited to see where we go from here after sort of the interesting developments of last episode. Yeah, new opening. Okay. I love the little ink drop. Oh, interesting. Huh, masks covering people's faces. Ooh. Interesting, okay. Cool. Great POV there. Ooh, new character? No, not new character. One of the new... we know that moment. But that was one of the new Lays in Waiting. Yeah, okay, these are all moments we've seen. Are these all... Are those all meant to be from Shisui's perspective? Ooh, I love the art style change. Mmm. God, the color is great. Mmm, okay. A pattern growing out underneath her. And the mask drops. And there is everybody. Oh, okay. A couple characters we don't recognize, a few we haven't seen lately. Hmm. Ooh, okay. Cool. I'm curious to see more of that in time. Alright, fairly ominous mood to start. Is that, Suire, maybe? I feel like it might be. Between the obscured face, the little bit we did see, though, and the ominous tone. Alright, something with Lowland. Ominous. Things are brewing. Hmm. Oh, wow, so she's considering what to do in the future. Intentionally or otherwise, a few. Hmm. Yeah, she's improving. I don't think it's what you want, though. Yeah. Yeah. Jinchi absolutely does. Yeah, yeah. Does she? Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Ah, the baths. A place where you can interact with other people in a more casual manner, meet a lot of people potentially, depending on what the sort of social structure is. 1,000. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. God. Damn. Jumped into a heated pool. Why? Why? Oh my god. Yeah. God damn it, Mau Mau. Oh, interesting to see her with her hair down. Some actual soap. A bit much. Yeah, a little bit. Uh, what happened here? Okay. Yeah, okay. I suppose. Yeah, the reason we're here. Oh, okay. What's the deal here? Ah, giving massages to slightly higher rank concubines, the more mid rank ones. Yeah. He's being very perceptive of the appearance of other servants and concubines. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. Interesting way to get hairs out. Hmm. Yeah. Able to get a little bit higher up the ranks. If you become favored by a mid-rank concubine, you can be connected to potentially some mid-rank families as well, that kind of thing. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You can get in good with a family. Hmm. Fair. Yeah, impressive. Good for them. Mao doesn't really need that, though. Ah. Rather than getting connections, she's getting information. I suppose that is another angle of it. The other way around. Nice. Okay, she can be on top of rumors. That information is out. And that is beginning to spread as well. Okay. Oh. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, if that is to be believed. Big competition suddenly. Hmm. Really dedicated. Hmm. A new good-looking eunuch. Wow, okay. Yeah, they should have stopped that. Mmm. Okay. Huh. Tricky, tricky. Yeah, she's very intelligent. Oh. Everything comes back to the baths. Yeah, she knows a bit of something. Yeah, just a frog, just a frog. Trust us. Oh. What is she doing here? Why isn't she at her own bath? Yeah. I'm still trying to get a handle on these three. God, they are so non-responsive. Hmm. Oh. She is sort of the outsider of them, even though she's not as new. Oh. Yeah. Huh. I suppose, yeah. Hmm. Huh. Okay. I suppose. Okay. Their different personalities are beginning to show through. Oh no. Mostly. Hmm. Word spreading. Yeah. Why are they getting so close to her? Oh god, they're really pushing her out of her comfort zone. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Huh. All right. Slice of chicken meat. Huh. Okay. Yeah. Huh. Again. Why is Lushu here? Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. I'd say that's a good thing. Yeah. Oh. Tying that in. Yeah, sure to make a scene. Your tone does not help with that. I wonder how well that actually works. I could see it working, but it feels a little too simple. I don't know. Hmm. So far, a fairly chill episode. Yeah. Which is insane. I honestly feel really bad for her. Yeah, that's actually a really good thing, given that she was scared straight. Hmm. Making connections. Overheated? Yeah, presumably. Probably comes down to the issue of everyone not helping her properly. Something? Okay. Things got more complicated. Okay, a ghost. Probably not for real, but who knows? We did have that one Ghost Stories episode. Hmm. And that's where they leave us. Okay, let's check out the ED now. Very chill so far. The classic walking across a background kind of ending. The trio. They do a good job of showing their attitude just from, oh, the cat, their posture. Interesting how much focus both in the opening and ending we are getting on these three. It seems like they're really building Xiaolin and Shisui into bigger characters now, which honestly I'm not upset by. It it leads to some potentially interesting things, given that those two are, as far as we know, not nearly as influential. Hmm. Oh, yeah, the whole focus is on them. Okay, so this episode is actually fairly light on content, all things considered, at least for what I am looking at. There's a lot of fun moments, there's a lot of just cute interactions, there's some context of how things are structured, but really the core of this episode is exploring the baths and socially and politically what can be done with them. We learn that the format is that there are essentially three tiers of baths. There is the main big open set of baths that is for all the servants and stuff that they can access every other day, it would seem. They have the more isolated rooms for mid-level concubines, and then they obviously in each pavilion for the head concubines have individual baths. And so obviously, as servants, the place where our main trio that is sort of formed at this point ends up is in the normal open baths. They have some banter there, but then Shisui introduces them to a way to make connections, the middle ground of the baths. Because though they are servants and therefore can't make use of these baths themselves, they can come in to aid in giving massages and such to mid-level concubines, which helps people who don't otherwise have connections in the short term earn favor and potentially gifts, but in the long term become so favored potentially by individual mid-level concubines that likely come from decent families to get work once they are out of the rear palace, which is actually a really solid thing, but it only goes so far because obviously in normal circumstances only mid-level concubines would be going here. And also, as Mao Mao acknowledges at one point to herself, if a concubine were to be actually being visited by the emperor or have his favor, despite just being a mid-level concubine, they would want to be more careful. They'd need to begin to have considerations of their own safety and who they can trust, similar to how the head ones do, and therefore shouldn't reasonably be willing to let just random people come in and give them massages. So on top of this merely being the mid-level concubines, it also is only the sort of lower end of them in all likelihood. The ones that are here in the rear palace and have some amount of influence, but aren't on major playing fields for actual influence or favor with the grander scale of the emperor. But as Gyokyo later acknowledges as well, when giving permission to Mao Mao to sort of join this little tactic with Shisui and Xiaolen, we have introduced the idea of what the merit of doing this, of giving massages to the mid-level concubines in the baths, can achieve for the high-ranking people as well. Though Mao Mao is merely a servant, she is a servant for a high-ranking concubine, one of the main four. So for her, she doesn't necessarily need the connections in the same way, but she can function as an informant of rumors and gossip and anything she can discover to Gyokyo. So on one end, it is a way to get connections, and on the other end, it is a way to get information. Definitely something valuable. But beyond that, beyond the sort of exploration of the baths, there's one other sort of key detail we get here, being that a lot of new eunuchs have been brought into the palace. About 30, I believe, and there is one who is supposed to be particularly attractive. And jumping back to the beginning of the episode, I have a feeling that that is what we see there. The recruitment or something along those lines of the new eunuchs. And among them is one which I believe is supposed to be the one that is more attractive, who we never see the full face of. We just see sort of the shape of their hair and bits of their face. And between the mystery of who they actually are, the ominous music, and finally the fact that their hair shape is sort of similar to Suirei's, I think this might be Suirei in another disguise, getting into the rear palace now for some reason. Things are building in that direction. Something is happening. But we only get introduced to that in this episode. It isn't explored further, but will likely come up later. Beyond that, though, the main other function of this episode, I would say, is a more character-focused one, a more social one, where it mainly just shows us interactions and developments with the main trio of Mao Mao, Xiaolen, and Shisui, them getting along, Mao Mao noting each of their sort of capabilities and skills, recognizing how hardworking and sort of dedicated Xiaolen is, recognizing how intelligent Shisui is capable of being, which ties into the fact that it seems like Shisui in particular, between some things we've had in previous episodes as well as the opening, seeming to have various moments where we might even be just directly from Shisui's perspective. It is clear to me that Shisui is going to be a major player in the story going forward, in some way, shape, or form. But then other than those three, the main other thing we get is we begin to see a little bit more of the personalities of the three new ladies-in-waiting, the three siblings. It's gonna take me some time to get all their names right, just because of how intentionally similar they all are. For all of them, just sort of as a whole, we get the detail that all of them seem to have been actually fairly close to Gyokyo at some point, seeing as one of them accidentally refers to her as her first name, which is realistically a big deal. But really, this episode isolates and focuses on one of the three, that being Sekiu, the one who has the red hairband. She is the youngest, and she seems to be very shy and a little bit lonely. She's the same age as Mao Mao, apparently, and though when in sort of their trio, they can all just sort of be this stone-face, non-reactive people, when the subject of attention, she is incredibly shy and nervous and awkward. She does not like being in the spotlight. She's not used to being in the baths with other people, to the point that she actually made a request with Gyokyo to use the bath in the pavilion. And overall, she just seems sort of fun and cute, very sort of shy though, but even then, still capable of getting her job done. She's still capable of doing what she's told, even if she's sort of shy and awkward about it. And then finally, at the end of the episode, we effectively have what I assume is the tie to next episode, the plot that we will be getting into there, being that we, while interacting with Lady Lishu, who is going to the public baths instead of the private one in her pavilion, we learn is because supposedly there is a ghost there. We shall see how much merit that holds. My guess is that there is not, and it is just some kind of trick, intentional or otherwise, or mistake, and I am assuming that will be something we get into next episode. But with that, there really isn't too much else to this episode. We don't see a lot of our characters. We don't see anything of Jinshi as far as I recall, other than, of course, the brief moment where Mao Mao thinks back to the uncomfortable interaction they had in last episode. So I'm curious to see where things will lead next episode, and I will just move on to that now. All right, time for the next episode. Let's just get straight into it. After this, we will be fully caught up. Still maintaining the intro being what we open with, makes sense. All right. I always am conflicted with how much I want to look at the opening, because obviously, you know, spoilers can be abound, but based on previous openings, that really hasn't been an issue. Yeah, okay, so that is probably Suire, or whatever her name is. I for some reason I'm forgetting it. That was like moving the mask aside. I find it interesting that a lot of these moments are like from perspectives looking to Mao Mao. It's not just Shisui, there's also some that were Jinshi. This is easily my favorite part of the opening, though, where it just fully changes style to be this sort of more watercolor-esque. The masks stand out to me because they look almost like 3D rendered, which is sort of an interesting choice. I'm still developing how I feel about it. All in all, I like it quite a bit, though. I'm very curious to see when some of these new moments come up. Right. Pulling right to there again. Oh boy. Jinshi's here, okay. Oh no. He's got the smile. Yeah, but you sort of misunderstood. They keep flashing back to it, Jesus. Yeah. Oh, okay. More Hongyang focus. More fuel for my theory, perhaps, depending on what happens. Damn. God, the fucking the tug of war for Mao Mao. Uh, wow, actually calling her by her name. Oh my god, Jinshi, what the fuck? Overstepping his boundaries again. You can tell he's in a good mood. The frog's fault? Oh no. If you just let him fucking talk to you, you'd understand more. He still got it. I guess from her perspective, that is a fair question. Perhaps. Yeah. Honestly, the fact that this has been allowed to stay this way is sort of insane. Oh, from the window? That could just be a person. Uh-oh. Sure, definitely. That's what this is. Okay, they're even bullying her because she's actually helping. Yeah. To be expected, but unfortunate. Perhaps so non-committal. No one can stop him. He has everyone around his fingers here. Yeah. Smart move. Of course. At least she's beginning to realize it. Okay. Huh. At least she has Cannon in her, like, corner helping her out. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, why isn't that the case here? Yeah, a warehouse next to the bath? In one of the main pavilions? Hmm. Ah. But the ladies in waiting here don't care. Wow, it's bad. It's newer. That's surprising. Maybe there's a draft? Ah. Yeah, okay. A drain. Okay, she's put something together. All right, we don't get to hear the answer. She has to explain her reasoning first, I guess. All right, where some of the mold is worst. So a draft could get in, I assume. Ah. Has to do with the water in some way. I'm just missing that one connection, I think. Ah, vapor. It's the vapor. Okay, so whatever the passageway is, it's not like fully sealed, so it goes through the floor up to blow the curtain. Okay. Oh, and a mirror? Oh. Was the face literally just like a reflection? Yeah. Ah. Okay. A light reflection. Oh. A reflection of light. Some pattern on the mirror? Otherwise imperceptible, but when reflected, it can be seen? Yeah, okay. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah, has to be subtle enough not to be seen without the reflection. So it's those two things together that produces the effect. Yeah. Okay. Pure coincidence. Yeah, probably made by someone to have her appearance. Hmm. God, fuck. Fuck. Yeah. She doesn't deserve something like this. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. What are you up to? No. Don't fuck with the mirror. Is she actually gonna stand up? Oh, wow. Yeah, you're in the wrong here. And the hairpin again. Oh. Wow. But now he's going after them. Yeah. Nice. Got a little too cocky. And that very well may scare the rest. Nice. They deserve it. Keeping us aware of that. Huh. Good question. There's the important part. If you just need documentation. Okay. Very thorough. Yep. God damn it, you were at the answer. Yep. Ah. Yep. For a variety of reasons. You're strategist. Poison with poison. Yeah. Respected by the Emperor. Impressive, honestly. He's the wild card. Yeah. I'm glad that he's coming back into the story. Yeah. She said that you'll always be Jinshi. Get back that courage you had before. Wow. A lot of complaints. Hmm. Flirting with eunuchs. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Not too surprising. Hmm. I did notice the marks on his hands, if I'm correct. Hmm. His first bit of competition. Yeah, huh. Oh. Uh. Uh-oh. Shaolin? Okay. Sudden ending. This episode is fairly straightforward as well, but has some very solid developments in it. Very much this episode focuses on Li Shu and her ladies-in-waiting, an issue that we have seen consistently for a while. Only after being scared straight, basically, was her taster made to actually help her, which seems to have legitimately made her canon actually care for Li Shu in a legitimate way, which resulted in her becoming the head lady in waiting. We, in this episode, though, meet the former head lady in waiting, who basically in this episode serves as the embodiment of the attitude all of the ladies in waiting have towards Li Shu. This dismissive, abusive attitude where they are lazy, not doing their work, and essentially just constantly gaslighting Li Shu into giving them what they want, doing what they want, whatever it may be. Of the people who are not literally committing crimes in the rear palace, they are some of the worst of the worst. They are taking advantage of their position as ladies in waiting of the most impressionable and young major concubine. And luckily, Finally, we see a bit of comeuppance for that. Some consequences for their actions. Due to circumstances, Jinshi had not called them out and stopped them from doing what they were doing, seemingly because he had no way to do so with evidence that wouldn't reflect poorly on Lishu as well. But now in this episode, thanks to the former head lady in waiting, he has his in via the hair spike that she was using. And so, though he never truly drops his very attractive and agreeable attitude, he does call them out and threaten them to a degree, which clearly absolutely puts the former head lady in waiting in her place and scares the others. Hopefully this will lead to her ladies in waiting actually, at the very least, being too afraid of consequences to continue to abuse and berate Lishu, and ideally make them actually do their jobs. But we shall see, I suppose. Hopefully it takes a turn for the better, but we shall see. Other than that, though, the main other thing related to Lishu in this episode is the solving of the mysterious ghost in the baths, which turns out to just be a series of coincidences. Very much it feels like that part of the episode is more so narratively serving as a reason for us to get a little bit more of a look at Lishu and her life, while also putting the ladies in waiting in their place. Much less so is the focus actually on the mystery of what was going on, because that gets solved pretty quickly with not a ton of fanfare. It's really the aftermath that is the important part. And more specifically, what I mean by that is the bronze mirror, which is an heirloom from her family, more specifically from her late mother, and it turns out that the mirror was engraved or whatever in some way so that when it reflects light correctly, it produces a pattern which was designed in this case to be of her mother's face, which leads to Lishu actually sort of breaking down a little bit, as clearly she has not had an easy life, despite being, politically speaking, a very important person, all things considered. In reality, she is a young girl who, for almost her entire life, basically her entire conscious life, she has been used as nothing really more than a political piece. Thankfully, she hasn't been abused beyond that in ways that very much she could have been given her position. But even then, just being a tool used by her family for political gain, which then put her in a position where she has to worry about the political intrigue of being someone so close to the Emperor, is something that someone her age should never have to deal with. And that is recognized in this episode. And it's also with this mirror that we finally see Lishu, at least to some degree, stand up to her ladies in waiting. It's in an emotional outburst. It's in a moment of emotional vulnerability, but it happens nonetheless. She refuses to accept how dismissive her ladies in waiting are of the mirror, of realistically the only thing she has left of her mother, and thankfully Jinshi backs her up on that. Other than that, though, the final bit of the episode, the final few minutes, cover a couple different topics. One is a discussion between Jinshi and Gaoshin about when he's gonna tell her the truth. It continues to be this sort of wishy-washy case of Jinshi needs to work up the courage to do it, and last time he did, it didn't work out, as we saw, but Gaoshin is continuing to emphasize that he needs to do it, which leads to the reintroduction of Lacan into the series. Not in any actual physical presence, but he is brought up again since the end of last season. The emphasis that he is a wild card, someone who nobody wants to deal with, because anyone who has crossed his path negatively has been worse off for it. And yet, because of the fact that Jinshi and Gaoshin want Mao Mao on their side in the grander political plays they are needing to do, inevitably they need to interact with a Khan, someone who, if there is one thing we can predict, is that he is very possessive of his daughter. We haven't seen any of him since last season, so we'll be curious to see what his attitude is towards Mao Mao and in general, now that he's been reunited with the woman he loves, regardless of their circumstance. But it is very appreciated that we are having him reintroduced again. He's a very interesting character that, after the end of the last season, took me some time to really sort out my feelings about for a variety of reasons, both character-wise and narrative-wise, but I cannot deny that he is a very interesting character, a fairly complicated one, and I'm excited to see where his character will lead going forward. Otherwise, though, the final real scenario in the episode before the sort of cliffhanger is Jinshi going to see the new eunuchs, and obviously emphasis is brought to the handsome one, the one that everyone is swooning over, which now, having gotten a proper look at their face, almost certainly this is Suirei. They just look too similar not to be. And we know that they have a past of getting in disguise to achieve various goals. The detail of supposedly one side of their body being numb due to abuse is interesting. I'd be curious to see how much merit to that is, because it's an odd detail to add if it isn't actually the case, if this is a false identity. So I feel like if it is a false thing, there has to be a reason for it. But it is hypothetically possible that it isn't false. That though the reason is probably false, there is some reason why one side of her body has gone numb. Perhaps due to one of her various schemes that she has been involved in, maybe a side effect of her faked death. Who's to say exactly? But it's an interesting detail that I felt is worth acknowledging. But we don't really get too much else on that, because unfortunately, at the end of the episode, we have our cliffhanger / hook for the next episode, which worries me for a variety of reasons. Not from I'm concerned that the show is going in a bad way, but concerns me in the sense that I am worried for Xiaolin's safety. It would seem that Xiaolin either was involved in helping to transport something, being a block of ice for a higher ranking concubine, or in some way she interrupted the people who were involved in it. She seems to have, probably accidentally, knocked over or damaged the cart in some way, because looking at the end shot here, it looks like the cart is fucked up a little bit. One of the wheels is like completely in the wrong direction. So it seems at the very least she is suspected of, if not very much responsible for, this happening. This mistake where the ice is broken, and obviously this other guy, who is probably the guy transporting it realistically, is freaking out because of it, as all we get from Xiaolin is her barely holding it together, tears in her eyes as she says she's sorry, clutching a hairpin, which is a very interesting thing. Probably we'll be getting into it next episode, but given everything we've had on the show, hairpins, especially nice looking hairpins like this one, mean a lot. They are important both for their value monetarily and their social and political influence. So the fact that Xiaolin has one is very interesting. Perhaps she's been making good connections with what we learned last episode. But the fact that she is clutching it here as she seemingly has made a major mistake that could have wide-ranging consequences for her is an interesting contrast. One that I'm interested to get into next episode, because almost certainly that will be the focus of next time. But I'm very much looking forward to this as a focus for next episode, because we haven't really until now had a major plot line that centers around Xiaolin. She's always been a supporting character. She's been important for a variety of reasons. She's been relevant for a lot of reasons, but she hasn't ever been the focus. And I'm excited to see what happens, while also worried to see what happens. Because she is a good girl, and she is nice, and she is cute, and I don't want anything bad to happen to her. But with that, I think I've covered the main sort of fronts of this episode. Not a lot else for me to really touch on without just getting real nitty-gritty about it. So I think I will leave things there. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and I hope you all have a great day. Goodbye.